And again, this is Ana Escarzaga with ReMax Island Properties, and today I have Dan Skinner in the spotlight, who is the owner of Recoup Health and Performance, that is a recuperation and wellness center. Dan, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for inviting me on, Anna. I appreciate being here.
Thank you. I write my questions because it's so interesting what you do that I don't want to miss anything. So mainly is a chiropractor's office. You're a chiropractor, but I was reading in the resume that you have several treatments that goes together with the chiropractic. So can you explain to me what is functional range conditioning?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, let me just kind of say that one of the best things about my profession is there's a lot of variation in between it, and what one provider is going to do might not be what another is going to do. And I think that's actually really good because it can help people try different things and find what really works for their body. Mm-hmm. And so functional range conditioning is one of the certifications that I've taken. It's basically targeted towards identifying joint restrictions and then teaching people exercises and methods to kind of help to restore or increase range of motion in their joints. And it goes really well with chiropractic because in a lot of ways, the hands-on that we're doing is designed to do the same thing. And it really complements home care really well for people.
I was, as we get older, and I include myself, and I was speaking with some friends, every day you wake up with a different ache. My ache, in this case, is my arm. So I cannot do this in my arm. So can this be resolved with functional range conditioning or with active release therapy that you also do, or with the dynamic muscular stabilization?
Yeah, well, and honestly, I think the most important thing to start off with is an assessment to figure out where those pieces fit in there, because I think there's probably a bit of all of those techniques that can kind of help with something like that. I've always told people, like coworkers and colleagues and patients, that I don't necessarily subscribe to any particular one style. I like to blend. I like to take certain things from different camps and bring them together and use whatever I can to give that person whatever's going to get them better faster. So functional range conditioning can be a part of that. So can DNS, or dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. These are all just little techniques that we learn on our journey as we're picking up more and more continuing education, and as we all should be. Our practices should evolve as we learn more and as we deal with more people, and we can figure out what kind of tools we can best use to help people. So I always say that the best time spent with any type of treatment is actually time spent in assessment, because it'll let you know really quickly what type of things you want to target and what we want to go after. So I hope that clarifies that a little bit too. There's never just one. It's never just one tool that's going to help everybody. It's about figuring out what tool is going to be best for them.
And I think that is a very, very important point, because usually we go to the chiropractor, and it's an excellent chiropractor, but they only do chiropractor. So sometimes it's not just cracking my bones. It has to go with the muscles, with the joints. So when you can offer a complete assessment and a complete solution, for me, it's a blessing, because I don't need to go with a chiropractor and then the physiotherapy and then the osteopath, and then so you can help me. So I just see you and you can help me, and a lot of my friends and a lot of people who's going to be looking at the interview. I'm also reading that you are a kettlebell instructor certified.
Oh yeah. My background is in strength and conditioning, and I've always found that like kettlebells, for whatever reason, tend to really land on the mark for a lot of people and what is going to help them best in training. It's kind of the same philosophy with strength training that goes into manual therapy. It's like figuring out what the best tools are for people to use. And kettlebells have been great for me in rehab and helping patients rehabilitate themselves, but also good in just traditional strength training use. So, and it's, let me just touch on something you mentioned before too. The idea that like a chiropractor is just going to do, adjustments or crack joints is like, it's kind of warranted. There's a lot of people that's all that those treatments are like. You just show up and it's going to kind of be the same thing. And I think one of the big reasons why we opened up Recoup Health and Performance, my wife and I are both chiropractors. We really kind of are hoping to change the stigma around that, where people realize that, a lot of what we're trained in isn't just manual therapy. It's also how to do rehabilitation. It's how to do, how to help people figure out, counseling on nutrition and sleep and stress management and all that stuff. It's like, it's a very cool profession because it's so multifaceted. There's so many ways that you can take it. And, my wife has a huge emphasis on TMJ or jaw dysfunction, and it helps a lot of people with headaches and migraines and neck pain through that. And it's a pretty atypical thing that a lot of people don't think of when they think of chiropractors. And same thing with my strength and conditioning background. I integrate a lot of rehabilitation. And I find it actually, it's a lot more enjoying to be able to offer more things in treatment as opposed to just, focusing on that one thing that we're most known for, which is adjustments. And there's definitely a time and place for all that. And it can be very, very helpful for people. And I think there's also, hopefully that it's changing now that people are realizing that you can go to your chiropractor for an ankle sprain. You can go for a shoulder dysfunction. You can go for all kinds of different things. And we're really fortunate in the city of Victoria to have so many good providers around here as well. I have physical therapists that I refer to and strength coaches I refer to and massage therapy. And what I always encourage people to do is to build a team around themselves. So find the people that are going to be best suited to help you with whatever it is that you're looking to get, whatever you want to accomplish. And I think like having a good chiropractor who can also help you figure out which providers are going to be good and help with co-management is a really good place to start.
So you mentioned something. Do you have a team that do each specialty? You have a team that you, in your same clinic that you send it, or you are able to do all the treatment yourself? I guess you do the evaluations yourself.
Yeah,
and
I think
someone in your clinic, or how it works?
Yes. So we've been open here at Recoup for just over a month, which has been amazing. I've been practicing in Victoria for 8 years. My wife has been for 5 years. And so this is like our kind of, maiden voyage at the beginning here. And we're creating a nice team at the moment. We've got some great massage therapists and acupuncturists who's joining us. Mm-hmm. And then often, because we're filling a lot of those spaces ourselves with rehabilitation and manual therapy, my wife and I have a pretty good handle on a lot of that, but we still make lots of referrals out of our clinic. And I think that's part of it is, a practitioner is kind of providing some service in a way where it might be, you're looking for a physical therapist or you're looking for acupuncture. But often what I like to do is I like to link up the individual with the individual provider, because just like in chiropractic, some person isn't going to do the same thing. We have really good friends who are physical therapists, and they specialize in one or two different things. So it's nice to be able to match people up really well and to just know where you think someone's going to land and be in a really good spot when they get there. So a lot of it is like, finding them a provider or a physio, but also it's like, I want to send them to Carl, or I want to send them to Jacob, or I want to send them to Jeremy. And I know these people less on their professional titles and more on their personality and what they're going to offer people.
Good. Let me change the subject a little. So you just opened a month ago. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
For people, because that means that you still have spaces because sometimes you need the service and it's okay, you come in 2 months. So it's good that you're building, I guess, you're building your clientele. I'm sure you have clientele, but if I ask for an appointment, maybe I don't need to wait for 1 month.
Yeah. It should never be that way, in my opinion. I don't think it's productive when you're going to see a provider and they've got 2 months from now they can see you. What does that say about the way that they're managing patients? It means they're probably taking on too many. And so I've always the big thing around my practice has been, I want to get people out into the real world doing things. And, one of my biggest referrals is for strength and conditioning and for personal training, because I think that's it's a very cost effective, time effective, and just generally all around effective way of getting people to be stronger and more capable of dealing with whatever stuff is coming at them throughout the day. And so I don't like having a huge blocked, months out schedule, because that to me tells me that I'm either not spending enough time with that person and I'm not being able to really get to the problem, or we're just kind of spinning our wheels and you're treating the same person for months and months and months. I think it kind of says something as well too. So one of the things that is nice about having a relatively new clinic is we do have a little bit more availability as our practitioners get a little more busy, but we also really want to keep an eye on that and make sure that if someone needs help, they're not just waiting. Like our healthcare system right now with, family physicians is just ridiculous too. If someone, has to go to the emergency room to get something that's relatively minor taken care of, that kind of says a lot about the state. So I don't think we ever want our clinic to get to that point.
And I think it's very important because if I wake up one day and my joint is really hurting, I don't want to wait 1 month to see a professional. I want to see a professional as soon as I can. Yeah. And if you are not available, I'm going to look for another professional who's available. And it's just a chain. So how did you decide to become a chiropractor, and how did you decide to go to the wellness side when you were young, or how old were you when you decided, I want to be a chiropractor and I want to be in the wellness business?
You know what? I was in my late 20s when I decided, and I had actually, I first moved out to Victoria from Ontario, and I came out with like the pursuits of making it as a bike racer. That was my thing. I played lots of sports growing up. I played hockey, I played baseball, and I got really into mountain biking when I was in high school, and started getting pretty good and good enough that I could travel and race. And I found myself going out west more and more because it's kind of the amazing spot where you can train year round. And my coach at the time had located in Victoria, and I went out there to go to school and also train with the National Center with Pacific Sport. And I thought I might as well go to school while I'm here. So I went to UVic, and I was actually in my racing career and had a pretty decent bike crash. And it was a chiropractor who ended up fixing me up. And I was blown away by how amazingly productive it was in such a short period of time. And I remember like limping in and then walking out and feeling like, oh my gosh, there's something cool here. And that was kind of inspiring me to look around and see what other people were doing. And it was actually, I was also looking at going into physical therapy because I had had good experience with that in the past too. So I think it was very much this, just a desire to want to help other people. And also I love the continuing learning part of it, where it seemed like everyone was just continuously asking more questions on how to do better at their job. And so that was something that really stood out to me. And I think that I was also just really lucky to have had the opportunity to shadow some really good chiropractors. And I think if I had shadowed some other people, I would have maybe been like, oh, this isn't for me. But I was really lucky that the people who mentored me and kind of showed me just how great the profession could be were in my circle at that time. So I feel pretty fortunate in that case to have had that experience.
I think so. And the rest of us were very fortunate that now we have you. So did you meet your wife Did you meet your wife in Victoria or in Ontario?
Interesting story with that too, because my wife and I went to the same school. We both went to a very sports focused school in San Jose, California. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like known as more the sports med school out there. It's very like evidence based and focused a lot on, kind of training people up to the highest caliber in the state that you're in. So in California, the scope of practice is quite high. So you can, you have lots of responsibilities there, and you're basically a portal of entry healthcare provider out there, which is really cool. And so that experience alone was great. And then when I graduated, I actually was introduced to Alex at a continuing education course we were at in Las Vegas. So it sounds worse than it is that we met each other in Las Vegas, but it was actually, we were introduced. Las Vegas. Introduced by like some mutual friends, and we just hit it off, and it was years later now we have a clinic together, so it was definitely a good meetup.
Do you have children?
We don't, but we do have a 6-year-old corgi named Gordy, and
that's
two beautiful rescue cats at home as well.
That's gorgeous. So if I ask you when you're not working, what is your hobbies? Of course, it's exercising. So do you still bike? Uh-huh.
I get out for a ride every once in a while to go have coffee with my friends. I don't do a lot of long biking anymore. I think I was years of being tired and hungry kind of got that out of my system, but I love just staying active. I think like one of the best gifts we have is the fact that we can use our bodies the way they're intended to. So I love strength training. I love hiking. I love actually teaching as well too. So it's a big thing for me is like, even though I'm a chiropractor by day, I still do lots of strength training with friends and some clients who really want to do more of a focus on that. So that kind of, scratches that itch for me too. I still want to be very much involved in the strengthening and conditioning community in Victoria, which is really nice. And I'm lucky enough to work with a great gym in town, Forge Training, which is like where I started my practice years and years ago. I was in the basement there, and I was working a couple days a week. And those people have just been amazing. So they continue to, they continue to impress me with how they run their business as well.
Good. So if you would have a superpower for one day, which superpower this would be, and how would you use it to help people, or to help people that you like, not necessarily customers?
I mean, that's very deep. I think that being able to fly would be the best, but if it was just for helping other people, I think maybe reading minds is one of those things where it blows my mind how many times you'll be taking a health history with somebody, you'll be asking them this and that, and then one big detail is skipped over. So, if you had the ability to just know that right away, it would probably save you a lot of time. I've had multiple times where people have come in and you're asking about this and that, and then there's, oh, and by the way, yeah, I've got like, a steel plate in my leg. I'm like, oh, that's significant. People don't necessarily put that stuff together. But so number one for me would be fly, of course. And then where would I fly? I think I'd just fly. I think I'd just go take a rip around town. I think it'd be nice to just see the inner harbor.
Would you fly high? I don't like heights, but would you fly like an eagle high or like a lower pigeon high? Or
oh man, I think I'd have to try out both and see what I like better.
You only have one day.
Yeah, that's 24 hours.
And so now we have the flying superpower, the listen to thoughts superpower. Do you have any challenges? What are your challenges now that you're a business owner? So you're just not working with your clients, but you need to manage a business. What is your biggest challenge right now as a business owner?
That is a great question too. There's a few things. I think the city of Victoria is not necessarily super helpful towards small businesses. I think, I feel like being in, actually, to be honest, a lot of it is the Canadian government isn't super conducive and helpful towards small businesses. Especially coming from a place where I went to school in the States, it's very small business focused and business focused in general. And it seems almost like it's a bit of an uphill battle for people. A lot of my friends that own restaurants and shops and things like that can kind of sympathize with me on that too. I think there's this misconception that starting a small business is somehow you're making tons of money right away and you're doing great. And I think there's a lot of struggle that goes on in the beginning, even things as simple as like organizing contractors and getting up and open. And, it's actually, in a lot of ways, I've heard this great quote where it's like, if I knew better when I first opened my business, I would have just been an employee instead. And I think, there's definitely a lot of things that we've kind of come across along the way. My wife and I opening this business, we've been so fortunate that we have so much help with good friends and patients that have been able to help us with this. But I would say that it's just kind of like this general lack of support from basically the city. And I would say that the other thing is just kind of the state of downtown. It's improving. It's definitely getting better. But I think that there's a lot that can probably be done to help a lot of, disenfranchised people down here as well. I think that will ultimately help buoy the city back up again too. Because when I moved out here and I went around downtown, I fell in love with it. That was what made me want to stay in Victoria and not go back to Ontario. I just love the fact that it was this beautiful, clean city. It was just, picturesque and, not to romanticize the old days or anything, but now it's kind of changed quite a bit. There's parts of town where, some of my clients don't like to park in certain areas because it can be a little sketchy. And so, for the most part, everything has been good, but we think that there's definitely some improvement that could be made there. The other big challenge that I would say is probably just like reshaping and reframing our profession, where a lot of people, like you were mentioning too, a lot of people think that a chiropractor is just going to do one particular thing. Yes. And the whole reason I think why we ended up branching out, and one of the reasons why we do some things that are pretty different, like we do all of our appointments are, a minimum of half an hour. which is pretty atypical for chiropractors. A lot of the time it might be 10 minutes, it might be 15, but we wanted to really emphasize more time with clients out here because we think it's really valuable. It's like that time spent in assessment and also just building a connection and actually talking to people and getting a sense for what they really need makes a huge difference. But I still think that it's going to take a little bit of time to change that and for people to kind of realize like, hey, I don't only need to go see my chiropractor when my back hurts. I can see them for other things. I can see them even if my body feels good. I just want to stay feeling good, or I want some advice on how to, strengthen up my knees because I have a big hike coming up, or maybe I've had an ankle that's been giving me grief for a while and I'm going to try and remedy that. It's like a lot of people just intuitively think they're going and seeing someone else, but like we ultimately want people to realize like we're here to help with that stuff as well.
I speaking with a lot of friends. I'm 59, so my friends are around 59 or older than I. So we have a lot of ache every morning. Oh, if it's not my knees, it's my ankle, and it's this and it's that. But I was having dinner last night, and I was listening to this conversation, and I don't give my opinion, but I'm thinking all these could be solved with being more mobile, exercising a little more, a little some of the adjustment. And you mentioned something important with the health system that we have here. A lot of our issues don't need to be, we can find a solution not going to a hospital or not going to a doctor because our body is completely connected. If my neck is not well aligned, if my hips are not well aligned, if everything is not well aligned, and if I don't have strength in my muscles, etc., maybe my liver is not functioning correctly. So I think that your clinic is an amazing opportunity for us not to need to go or wait for a doctor, but so we can see you and we can improve our quality of life. Maybe we need a doctor, but in the meantime, we are waiting because everything is what we eat and how we move. I mean, everything is a consequence of what we have done or what we haven't done in our life. So really, thank you very much for having this clinic. I am sure that with time, this struggle that you're having is going to end up because you're a great professional. And that's the idea. No, that's the idea, to feature you as much as possible so people can get to know you and people can come with you. Definitely, I'm going to become your client number one. And I'm going to
I can't wait.
As soon as we finish the interview, I'm going to contact you and I'm going to make an appointment. But then, thank you very much. Can you please tell us how people can find you? Where is your office? Where is the clinic located?
So we're down on 726 Yates Street. We're right across from the Board Game Cafe area, so 700 block on Yates. And I think it's probably we're in the best part of downtown. It's just super nice. Everything is kind of growing here as well. We have a few new restaurants that are popping in across the street, and we love it. It's nice and sunny in the days. Like the clinic gets nice and bright. And if you are interested in coming in, you can check out our website at recoupvictoria.com. And we'd love to see you. We'd love to have you in too and show you around.
Do you have Instagram account?
We do. It's at Recoup Victoria.
Excellent.
It's mostly me posting on there with my memes. I usually I'll post a meme every once in a while about what I call benefit season. Benefit season is the last 3 months of the year when everyone realizes they have benefits and they get into a mad rush to use them all. So usually make.
So for people who's not very, very aware of the numbers in Victoria, that's almost in Blanchard. So are you in between Blanchard and Douglas?
Yeah, right in between there. Yeah, it's a great spot.
It's a great spot.
We quite like it. And
it's safe. I mean, we were mentioning these things, but anytime now it's getting darker earlier, but anytime it's very safe to be around there.
Yeah, no, and honestly, we've had a great time. The big thing is, I think there's been a lot of construction lately, so parking can sometimes be a little hard to find. But what we've been doing is we realized that there's lots of free parking spots at on the Johnson Street Park, the Johnson Street Parkade. So that's usually where we recommend people go check it out there. It's just a small little jaunt across over here, so just a short walk, but free parking.
Dan, thank you very, very much for your time. I'm looking forward to see your clinic. And this was Dan Skinner from Recoup Health and Performance. And this is Ana Escarzaga with ReMax Island Properties. And I hope to see you very soon. Have a great
Yeah.
day.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.